I never know what to say. I never know what to say when I get here. How many were here last time I was here, about 3 weeks ago? Well, it's the same stuff. You can listen to it again? I'll have to try and maybe change my presentation a little bit. I don't know. I suppose most of you know what it is already by now, don't you?
Yeah, good.
How many are glad to be here? How many don't really give a fat rat's you know what? They're taping me tonight too, so I have to clean up my act a little bit, but don't worry, I'll forget about it and probably say something I shouldn't say anyway. But like I said before, whenever I come here, I only ask of you one thing, and that is that you listen. Now, you don't even have to listen to me, but all I ask is that you be quiet. You know, if you don't want to listen to me, that's great, tune me out. But don't sit there and talk to your pals. And is the gal with the double jointed shoulders back? Geez, her and I, we could make $1 million in her act and mine. That's all I ask, that you listen to me. And like they said, my name is Bart Halverson, and I am a Wisconsin conservation warden. Somebody already said, are you a game warden? And I said, no, I'm a St. Paul bus driver. Can't you tell by my funny little uniform? That's kind of what I look like, isn't it? I've been coming up here to Minong probably for
at least 8 years.
8 years. And I always enjoy coming here. I'll tell you why. Because most of the time, it's really a pretty good class. And you're lucky tonight again. It's usually so blasted hot in here you can't stand it. It isn't bad tonight. It isn't real cool. And I never practice this talk. I never sit down and say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I just kind of wing it as I come up here. In fact, I don't know what I'm going to say next most of the time. But the word must be out about, you must have spread the word, those of you who were last time, about saying, don't say to them, are you going to shoot me? Did you spread that word? Or don't you remember I did that last time? Because normally when I come into a group this big, and I have my firearm on like I do, somebody always says to me, are you going to shoot me? You know, that's like saying, have you stopped beating your wife yet? What am I supposed to say? Yes, I'm going to shoot you tonight. Or am I supposed to say, no, tonight's your lucky night. I'm not going to shoot you tonight. That is the dumbest question that anybody ever asked anybody. Well, think about it. You're a trained law enforcement officer. You spent years of your life training for this. Can I see those pictures too?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pass them around. Yeah, let's let everybody see them. Oh, let me see. Oh, they're prom pictures. Oh, they're nice. Oh, it's in a gymnasium. Isn't that different? Oh, I especially like this one here. Huh? Oh, there's the girls' bathroom. Wow. Here's a guy with his hand in his pocket. I wonder what he's scratching at there. Is he here? Oh, they're nice. Where is this at? What town is this? Merrill, Wisconsin. I know where that is. This is north of Warsaw. Oh, is that your date there? There's an 80-pound black lab sitting there. Oh, these are nice. Anybody got any other pictures they want to share with the group? I won't pass them around. I saved you there. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do, sometimes I forget what I'm going to do, but basically, the reason I come here is because I am a law enforcement officer, because I do wear a fine little uniform with a badge and a gun and all this kind of stuff. And besides being, you know, I try to make my presentations light, and I try to make them interesting so that you listen to me, and so that you get something out of it. But I think, the main thing I want to impress on you is that all law enforcement officers, I don't want to say all because that's wrong, but you know, we're people too, just like you are. And we have bad days and we have good days and so forth and so on. But basically, by and large, the law enforcement fraternity, the people that work in it, whether they're state troopers or county officers or FBI agents, are basically supposed to be your friends. And I kind of like to consider myself that too. And that's one of the messages I want to convey to you. Now, you all know that I wear this. I'm going to go through my little song and dance now with my gun. I'm sure you've all heard about it before. Oh, I forgot something. I got some mail I had to bring up here today from district office. Nate, you got some mail. It's probably the first time you got any, huh? So I brought this up for you, Nate. This is for you. This is from your mommy down at district. Wait a minute, aren't you supposed to do something when you get mail here? Stand up, Nate. What song would you like to hear? How about the Minong fight song?
What is it?
I don't know. What do you usually have to sing? Come on, Nate. How about Jingle Bells? We won't make him do that. Yeah, the Navy fight song. Navy fight song. Okay. My presentation's got two parts. The first part is I kind of talk about what I do as a job. And the second part is I have a slide series that I show you about some of the things we do. And I've always said this before. If a person, both men and women, if you like somewhat the excitement that a law enforcement type career gives you, when I say excitement, I mean, because it is exciting sometimes. When some 6'6" guys tell you you're going to stick your head where the sun don't shine, things like that, it gets kind of exciting sometimes. And if you kind of like the outdoors, being a Wisconsin game warden, or I suppose a game warden any place, is probably one of the finest careers there is, and I mean that. And I've been a game warden part-time, started in 1969. In fact, I worked a lot for Chuck Nelson's dad back in the early 70s when his dad was a warden at Minong. So I got to go back a long ways, too long. But in all my career, in all the things I've done, you know, being a game warden has been a very, very rewarding and enlightening career. It's kind of the pit sometimes, because we only get paid $3 an hour. I'm up to 3 1/4 now, I guess. And I have to work a lot of weekends, or I used to. I'm kind of a paper game warden now. I work in the office most of the time, but that's enough of that. In Wisconsin, all law enforcement officers wear sidearms. And I was kidding about not saying something stupid to them, but basically, these things that we wear in our belts, and I don't have a lot on it tonight, are tools. Just like a telephone lineman wears a belt with all kinds of stuff on it, the carpenter wears a belt, has got tools. A computer expert has tools that they use. Law enforcement officers also have tools. And these are the tools that I have. And we are changing now. We are going to automatic revolvers. For those that know anything about firearms, I have not been changed over yet, what they call transistorized. I still carry the old .357 Magnum. And of course, we do carry them loaded. I mean, there's no use having a gun that isn't loaded, because you can't shoot anybody with it unloaded. And you don't want to be fumbling in your pocket for a bullet. These happen to be stainless steel. We are trained, you know, a lot of times people think that a law enforcement officer is trained a lot on accuracy, which you are, but a lot of the training is when do you shoot? When do you make that decision that you have to kill a person? And believe me, I've never done it. I've never shot at anybody. I have taken my gun out. That was when my kid was bad, though, and I was going to shoot him. I don't think I've ever taken out, or I guess it was my wife that had done something. But it is not when you are not trained, and you're probably not going to believe this, but we do not shoot. When you shoot someone, you shoot to stop them. You don't say, I'm going to shoot you in the foot, or I'm going to shoot you in the knee, or I'm going to wing you. You shoot mid-mass, which is in here. But we do carry these, and no, I've never shot anybody. I don't want to shoot anybody. Okay, in Wisconsin, and I guess it would probably be in most states, law enforcement officers have the ability, are empowered to use force over someone. And that force is called the continuum. In other words, if somebody does something to me, I'm allowed as a law enforcement officer to use the next level of force. and so on and so on and so on and so on. This, of course, is called deadly force. That means it can take someone's life, deadly force. I guess the example I use is, let's say Nate. Come on up here, Nate. For instance, Nate, you know, he's kind of a big dude, kind of soft yet, though. You know, he's not really hardened up. After he gets to be about 20, he'll get that, you know, that real physique about him. Are you 17, 16, 17? 17? In Wisconsin, if you're 16 years old, you need a fishing license. Now, Nate, you're my actor. You're fishing. Let's talk about force. My voice is force. If you don't believe me, think back to when your parents talked to you. Your parents ever say, take the garbage out, Nate? And I'll bet you when Nate's lying on the couch with the remote control in his hand, his mom says, Nate, take the garbage out. Nate probably goes, click. And then pretty soon his mom says, Nate, I told you, take the garbage out. At that time, Nate may change positions and turn his body just a little bit and go click, click with 2 channels. By this time, Sue is about had it and she hollers, Nate, garbage out here right now, I'm gonna kill you. She has exercised force, hasn't she? She hasn't stabbed him with a gun. She hasn't hit him with a piece of firewood, and she has not, or stabbed him with a gun, stabbed him with a knife, or shot him with a gun. But yet, her voice. And conservation wardens, any law enforcement officer also uses their voice as authority. Nate's fishing. Get with it, Nate. Let's see if are you left-handed? Are you left-handed? Then why are you casting with your left hand? Cast with your right hand. Reel with your left hand. That boy. You look just like your mother when you do that. Okay, now. Hi, Nate. How's it going today? Fine. May I check your fishing license, please? Sure. No. Take a jump, you stupid SOB. I
said no.
You go, tell me to go take a hike or something. Louder! This is a bunch of people. You got to speak up.
Take a hike.
Listen, sir, I told you I'm a state conservation warden and I want to see your fishing license and I want to see it now.
No.
All right. At that point, all law enforcement officers can use what is known as, we can make the next level. Now, sir, I told you once, and I'm not going to tell you again. In the state of Wisconsin, if you're going to fish in these waters and you're over 16 years of age, you need a fishing license. Now, show me your fishing license. Now. So now, I'm kind of stymied, aren't I? Let's see, he clenches his fist and comes into a ready position and come at me. Come on, a little bit. Now, at this point, what do? Take 2 steps back? Yeah. Say, aha, pal. Oh, boom. Huh? No. Deadly force can't do it. But yet, I've got the right to protect myself, don't I? Now, deadly force, which is a firearm, of course, I could not shoot him for that. But I can protect myself. He comes at me like that. First thing I do is drop my radio. And, not my radio, my, whatever this thing is. My microphone. Huh. I see what happened. Okay, we're back in it. Now, you're going to be a big man when you stop growing, and you're not. And I'm not, seriously, I'm not very big. So there's a kind of a trade-off there. He comes at me, arms clenched, he's going to do me in. Come on. Now, I have a right to protect myself. And the first thing I'm going to do is, we're always in what is known as a ready position. Your hands should be like this, although they don't look ready. They are. Your weak leg is ahead. And if he keeps coming, I'm as big as he is, I'm not going to stand here and go, okay, let's go now. Okay. I'm not stupid. My mother didn't raise any dumb kids. I'm going to kick him. And I'm going to kick him right here. Right there. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to lay it back, boom, and I'm going to snap one just as hard as I can. Now, for those of you who are laughing, you cannot, you always see it on TV where this stand there like most dumb bubbas do, stand there like that. Okay, spread your legs. Now, In the movies, you always see some gal or some guy, they go like this. They wind up and they go, wham, and they kick him right in the crotch, don't they? Now, what's the first thing he's going to do if he sees me go to do that? What's your first reaction if I'm going to kick you in the crotch? Exactly. You cannot kick a man who's standing there looking at you in the crotch. It's impossible. Because it takes you so much longer to wind that kick up and bring it up, and all they have to do is, man does is turn his body. But they can't turn the lower abdomen. That's where you kick. If you're going to kick, you snap right to the lower abdomen. That's a fallacy, kicking him in the crotch. It's just a fallacy. So anyway, that's where we aim. Or we do the fist. He comes at me, I'm going to stop him. Oh, stop! Right now. And I'm going to holler. So he knows the message. That's true. I want to convey to him that he's doing something bad. Okay, I stop him. He picks up a big club. Pick up a club. Now, what am I going to do? Come over your head. No. Out comes the baton, right? Ever hear Rodney King? This is what they used on him, one of the things. But we don't call them clubs, we call them batons. Now, and we do not poke, boom, wrap in the family jewels, or hit over the head, bonk, things like that. You do not do things like that. There's certain parts of the body that you aim at. For instance, let's say he is left-handed and he's got a club in his left hand. Okay, how many play baseball? Have ever played baseball? When they teach you to hit a baseball, you don't stand up there like this and go, do you? Here it comes. You don't do that, do you? When you swing a baseball bat, you stand like this, and you rotate your hips, and you swing like this, come all the way through, because you put your shoulders into it. Same with hitting somebody with a baton. We're trained to do this. You cock it like this, and you come with the whole body. Whack! Right in the outside of that elbow. It's probably hanging down as hard as you can right there. Nerve endings on your outer arm are close to your elbow. If not there, outside the knee. Spin, whack! Whack! Twice as hard as I can. I'll guarantee you he's going to go down. He will not stand because it upsets the central nervous system so that they drop. Then you got them and they're going, then you shoot them. No. That's what a baton is used for. That's what it's supposed to be used for. You see, I can use the next level of force. He comes at me with a club, I can take this out. If it was a great big man, 6'4", 240 pounds of spring, steel, and sex appeal, he comes at me with his fist clenched, at that time, I can take out my baton. Of course, deadly force. You're not done yet, but you can sit down for something. I'll tell you something about deadly force. I'm going to get him back up here in a minute. You laugh, you say shoot him. I'll tell you an incident of shoot him. Shooting a person I've never had the opportunity, I don't want to say opportunity, I've never wanted to either, because it's a very, very traumatic experience. I'll give you an example. In Webster, Wisconsin, which is not very far from here, must be about 2 or 3 years ago now, they had a young man who was a state champion pole vaulter for Webster. He was probably at that time about 23 or 24 years old. And he got involved with some drugs over in Minnesota, selling drugs. And of course, as we all know, this is probably not the chosen occupation to be in, selling drugs. Anyway, he gets in an altercation in the state of Minnesota, just across the Wisconsin-Minnesota boundary, and he ends up shooting a man, another drug dealer, over a dispute. He thinks, erroneously, that the individual is dead. He thinks he's killed him. So he's looking at murder. He comes back to Webster. Now he doesn't know what to do. Now remember, he was a high school star athlete. Everybody in town knows him. And of course, as soon as they find the guy that he shot, the guy isn't dead, but he doesn't know that. And so every law enforcement agency in this part of the state is looking for him. And they find him in downtown Webster. And he's got a handgun in his hand. He's walking down the sidewalk on Main Street. So here's a 23 or 24-year-old young man that all the police officers knew. And he's walking down the street with a gun like this in his hand. And of course, they want him for attempted murder, and so they order him to halt. And he doesn't. He just keeps walking. Now, he's got a gun in his hand pointed down. What do you do with him? If you're a law enforcement officer, what would you do with him? Shoot him. Oh, now, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. Can you imagine what would happen if you shot him dead right on the spot because he had a gun pointed down? They would crucify the law enforcement agency that did that. The news media and the press and so forth. So what do? They just watch it. And there's police officers all around them, state troopers, city officers, there's even a couple game wardens there, and he just keeps walking. And a guy, one of the officers from Polk County, got in his squad car and was going to go around the block in his car to confront him, to cut him off, and he did. But when he stepped out of the car, they were like 5 feet apart when they came around the corner. You know what the guy with the gun did, the kid? Went just like this. Boom! Shot him right in the point of his chin, right there. And it went through and lodged in his spine, and the officer went, chunk. He's from Polk County. He's still paralyzed. Then, an officer from Burnett County went to grab him, and he turned around and he went, bang, bang, shot him twice. Killed him instantly. And then, the officers opened up and killed him. So, you know, it's, people joke about using firearms. Here was a situation where you had a star athlete, 23 years old, got in a situation where there was no going back. It cost him his life. It cost one police officer the rest of his life paralyzed from here down. And the other police officer is dead. He had 3 kids. So the decision to use a firearm, and when someone has to be, that has to happen, it's traumatic. It is traumatic. So, like I say, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. So when you look at police officers or game wardens or state troopers, you know, some aren't going to be the best people in the world, but by and large, they're pretty decent. So I just point that up to you to realize that, boy, I just hope I never have to shoot anybody. I think I'll just throw my bullets away. All right, Nate, get back up here. Now, of course, then we always got to have these, you know. I was going to do something tonight, but I didn't do it. Sometimes I get the wrong pair of cuffs. I get my wife's, and they got the velvet lining on them, and then she gets mad. And we're married. It's not kinky at all. All right. Handcuffs. Handcuffs are not punishment. People think that handcuffs are punishment. They are not punishment. Handcuffs are restraints. What they are designed to do is to restrain an individual, not to punish them. Okay? Not to punish them. And the only time we handcuff, we have a policy in our department that if we take somebody in custody in our vehicles, we have to handcuff them. And it's not like on TV where they say, here, you know, click, and they click them on. They don't do that. The most important thing about handcuffing someone is that you do not want to get hurt, and you don't want that individual to get hurt or anybody else. That's the secret. Nobody is to get hurt. So let's say that Nate has done something very dastardly. I mean, let's say he kept a bear cub without a permit or something like that. Whoa! And we had a warrant for his arrest. So I come to the house the next day and I say, Nate, naughty, naughty, naughty. You're going to have to come down to Shell Lake with me, and I'm going to have to handcuff you to push in my squad car. So in this particular time, he's going to be compliant. So you're going to comply with me, okay? We'll step away from the screen a little bit. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn around and face away from me, please. Put your feet about shoulder length apart, shoulder width, excuse me. Stick your arms straight out at your sides. Straight out, straight out. Point your thumbs towards the floor. Spread your fingers. Now, you see what I did? The reason I did that, I made him turn around, and I can see, although he's got a loose-fitting T-shirt on, that he probably doesn't have a big knife or a gun or anything in there. I can see that. You make him point his thumb towards the floor. I can see that I made him spread his fingers. He doesn't have a razor blade between his fingers or a knife blade or anything like that. Remember, I don't want to get hurt. Okay, bend over slightly at the waist. Look to the left. Cough. No. Not really, not really, not really. They do that when they check you for a hernia. That's all. That's all. Just spread your arms out. Okay. Now, Nate, I'm going to handcuff your right hand first. I want you to bring it slowly back towards me. Your right hand, please. I'm going to reach up. Remember, I don't want to get hurt, and he doesn't want to hurt. I grab him by the 2 middle fingers. Now, doesn't hurt, does it, Nate?
No.
But you know that if I wanted to make that hurt, I could, couldn't I? I mean, I could easily make that hurt. Okay, reach up. Snap the cuff there. Okay, Nate, slowly bring your other hand back and you just set that right in the handcuff, and he's handcuffed. And that's how it's done, called compliance cuffing. There was a gal, I don't know if you heard this last time, and I've never seen this in all the years I did this.
I can't do it.
Were you here?
Yeah.
She could take those handcuffs and she would take both her shoulders out of joint, no kidding, you were here, and she would lift them up over her head and come down, and she'd be handcuffed in front. I couldn't do it. You're not done yet. Now, that's called compliance cuffing. That's when the subject is willing and able and kind of allows you to do that. There's other ways to do it, but I'll tell you something, and I tell you this for your own good. How many in here think they're pretty tough? Especially boys. Some tough guys? Some girls? Okay, that's great. But I'll tell you something. There's always somebody tougher. I don't care how tough you are or how tough you think you are, there's always someone that's going to kick your butt. Always, there always is. You don't think so, eh? And the older ones are the worst because they're dirty. Okay, Nate, this is used more for police officers, like in a bar situation or something where they have to take somebody out. But basically, it's just a hands-on type deal where when I take him like this, come on now, Nate, you got to quit doing this. We're going to get out of here. And I'm just kind of leading him. You know, that's a good hold. Believe it or not, your middle finger, the one you always wave at your friends, and your thumb, that's called a pincer. And it's really strong. Just try and pull away. Pull. Snap. Yeah, just see, it's and I'm not very big, you know, and pull. And it's amazing how much strength you got in that hand. Okay, as soon as I feel some resistance like that, the first thing I'm going to do is snap right into this one here. And he's sweating right now, and he pulled pretty hard. But once I get him like this, he's mine. Up on your toes, Dave. Up on your toes. Look the other way. Up on your toes. I didn't see you get down. You do exactly what I tell you. Okay. Did I say you could look this way? No. All right. Are you going to ask Nate anything? No. You're going to tickle or anything like that? Once he's in that position, unless he's I won't do it again. Once he's in that position, and unless he's on some type of hallucinogen drugs, he's going to feel pain. And I'll tell you another secret. You take big men like he's going to be, has got a lot of mass in their shoulders. They're real. See how far his wrist only bends that far. And you take for some reason, and his shoulders are stiff too. That's because around his shoulder girdle, there's a lot of muscle. And they're worse. You take a wrestler, you know, a good high school wrestler, a lot of muscles through the shoulders and arms, and they're really unflexible. But once you get in that position, he's yours. And if he wants to take his left hand and strike me in the face, all I'm going to do is I'm going to holler down as hard as I can, and I'm going to give him one of these, and I'm going to jerk on this, and I'm going to see this here. Yeah, it's going to plow up. That's my dog. It's going to plow a furrow right in that cement. So I'm going to go down. I'm not going to relax, Nate. I'm not going to do it. But once he's here, he's basically mine. He may hit me in the face, and I may break his wrist, but he's mine. Then, if you don't get enough compliance when you bend it straight down, you simply turn it to the inside. I love that. And then you just go like. Then you just go like this. You just simply take your cuffs out and say, "Did I tell you could look this way?" And you cuff them. This is where you're the most vulnerable, because I tell you, if he ever gets loose now and he's got a cuff dangling like that, that's really bad, especially if it opens up. Because he starts swinging that, it's going to cut somebody. So you never let go of the pressure. You never let the person. Whose idea was this anyway? Put that in there. Get around here. Maybe I should stick it up through my fly-in out or something. All right. And I want that tape as soon as we're done because I'm probably going to be fired after tonight. But you always maintain the pressure. Even I'm going to change now and do his other hand. I simply hang on to his wrist like this. He knows I got pressure. Turn around backwards. And around it comes, you know. Always got that pressure. I still got the pressure. And if you don't believe me that it hurts, it hurts. Open the cuff. Okay, big guy, put your wrist in there. Come on. Oh, that's a good boy. Simple as that.
Arrested.
Busted.
Busted, whatever. He's busted. Hey, Nate, don't worry. You're not doing this for real.
What's that, Nate?
What? I didn't say that.
Oh, you can't have him for your girlfriend tonight. Now sit down. Let's give him a nice hand. Come on, you guys. Again, the reason I do this is, well, it's entertaining for one thing for you. I realize that. And the other thing is that I just want you to realize, I haven't walked over here yet, and to show you that these things are simply tools. You know, it's just a belt is all it is. You know, some people wear portable radios on them and speed loaders and all that stuff, but since I'm kind of a paper game word and I don't wear all that stuff anymore. But that's all it is. The biggest problem is when you have to answer a call to nature and, you know, where do you hang it in the bathroom, but usually you find a place sometimes. That's all it amounts to, and they're just tools. And again, law enforcement officers are not trained so much in being able to hit a bullseye at 50 yards. It's knowing when you have the authority to use it if you do. Yes?
You don't have all your stuff on your belt.
No.
When you do, isn't it like really hard to chase somebody?
Run with it on?
A
Yeah.
lot of cops really slow.
A lot of them are fat because they've been in the donut land too much. Hi, how's it going? You're right. In case you didn't hear what he said, you know, when everything's on, isn't it hard to chase? And it is. You take a 40-year-old police officer, you know, that's 45 pounds overweight, they're not going to catch anybody on foot. But they have something that most of you don't have. It's called a radio. And they go, he's heading for third and Maple, stop him there. Another cop goes, okay, and they drive down, you know, they have cars too that go fast. And then, I'm glad you brought that up because there's a good point here. And I always tell each group this. If you ever are in a situation with a law enforcement officer hassling you, like everybody likes to say, don't be a dink. Because it's gonna cost you in the long run. I'll guarantee it. You're not gonna win. You just can't win. Because what they'll simply do is they'll simply call in reinforcements. Now, there's probably some of you in here, some of the boys especially that mature into young men, that you could probably kick some cop's butt one-on-one. But you're not gonna be one-on-one. And once you resist, you have compounded the charges immensely. Battery to a peace officer, hitting a policeman, is a felony in the state of Wisconsin. You can go to Waupun or to Green Bay to a state prison for over a year for that. My other favorite one is knives for young people like yourselves. Don't mess with knives. And I'm not talking about a pocket knife like this. You all don't sit out there and think to yourself, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know what knives are, and I know what blades are. You're just going to get yourself in trouble. Now, the state of Wisconsin has ruled that knives are deadly force. In other words, if you're in a confrontation with a police officer and you pull a knife out, that officer has got the legal authority to use deadly force on you. They could shoot you. Think about that. Don't mess with knives if you're in school, if you're doing something with your friends. Don't dink around with knives because they're gonna get you in trouble. There's a rule that we have called a 21-foot rule. That's what I call it. Nate, you've stood up enough. I might as well have you do it. Right over there, young lady. Now, and I should have done this demonstration, but I didn't bring the equipment to do it. But we figure right now in Wisconsin that, or any place, is that for a law enforcement officer, what's your first name?
Brandy?
Brandy. Manhattan's your last name? No, it can't be. If she's got a knife and she knows how to use that knife, you know how many feet I have to be away, for those of you who weren't here last time, how many feet do you think I have to be safe? Back up a little bit, Brandy. 21 feet, which is 7 yards. That's the safest distance, that's the closest I can be and be completely safe. Because if Brandy knows how to use a knife, and she's got a knife hidden in her hand, and I'm talking to her, 21 feet, she can rush me with that knife in her hand, and before I can draw my firearm, or before my brain says, hey, this woman's going to cut you, that goes down to my hand, I draw my firearm and shoot her, she will have cut me. It's that fast. Because they come at you just, at a dead run. And the way it's done, most of them, what they teach people to do in prisons is they slash right. The first thing they do is it goes just right across here, so you cut the tendons that run down the inside of your arms, and you can't lift your arms. First thing they do with a knife. That's why knives are dangerous. That's why all law enforcement officers are very, very conscious of knives. Thank you, Miss Manhattan.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, couldn't you just throw it at you?
Yeah, she could, but all I'd just do this. I'd just go hook, and I'd cut it. You ever seen Superman? Same thing. Yes?
I have a question about when the guy shot the police officer. Why can't you shoot him in the leg and make him fall or something?
All right, that's a good question. And the question she asked, for those of you who asked or didn't hear it, is why can't a law enforcement officer shoot someone in the leg? And I'll tell you basically my theory on that. Let's say that you are a police chief in a town that's got 1,000 police officers. Like, anybody from Milwaukee? How many police officers in Milwaukee? Lots. Okay, let's say you're the police chief in Milwaukee. Now, your number one priority is your officers' lives, isn't it? So let's say you're in charge of their shooting program. You're in charge of all the policemen in Milwaukee. Now, you have to train these police officers, both men and women, in the use of a handgun, when to shoot and not to shoot. That's very difficult to do. Now, do you want to put that burden on those police officers also? Besides having them to make that split decision whether they're going to draw their firearm and shoot someone, as to whether I'm going to shoot them in the chest or in the leg or in the hand or what. Follow me? No, you don't. I can see that fizzle. Police officers are trained the only time they can shoot someone is when someone's life is in imminent danger. And then you shoot to stop, and that's mid-mass right here. If all of a sudden you have to put the added burden on them, should I wing this person or should I shoot him? But in hindsight is always the best. Sure, I'm sure that they wish that someone there who had a sniper rifle and there was some there would have shot that person in the leg. I'm sure now, after what happened, they wish they could have done that. But you don't want to have that added burden on your officers that they have to think, well, I'll shoot him in the leg. Because most of the conflicts, most of the gun battles take place within 7 feet of each other, in buildings and so forth. And you do not have the luxury of thinking, well, should I shoot in the foot or should I shoot him in the chest? It's got to be an automatic reaction where you draw and fire. That's a very, very good question. Why are we asking all these questions? I'm supposed to be out of here in 5 minutes. I haven't even started my things yet.
What if a law enforcement officer did shoot a man in the leg or something? He took that risk. Would he get in trouble for doing this?
Probably not. It depends upon the circumstance. Are you from Luck?
Yeah.
Well, then you know that officer is he's from Polk County. His name is Severson? The one that's wounded.
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
I remember his name.
Okay, and as far as running, I used to run marathons. And I remember one time when I was in the best shape of my life. I mean, I was really, in fact, I had just run the Twin Cities Marathon. And Washburn County had a guy that was Oh, I don't know. He was just a no good. But he had ran on a couple officers. You know, they were chasing him in a car in Spooner, and he stopped and ran on foot. And we trailed him to a trailer house, and he got out of the back of the trailer house on us. And he took off running, and I thought, I was about, it was probably 10 years ago, so I was only like 20. And and I thought to myself, piece of cake, I'll run this dude down, me, the big marathon runner, you know. So I started running, and of course, you always make a real quick sprint at first to try to catch him, and I couldn't catch him. He was from Solon Springs, in fact, and a big tall kid, and he ran, and I ran, and pretty soon, of course, I was in real good shape because I was running marathons. And we must have went for, I'd say, a mile. It was through the Benson-Thompson trailer court in Spooner, in between trailers, running and running and running and running. And finally, he just ran out of gas, and he just fell on his knees, and I fell on top of him. And he said, why are you chasing me? And I said, I don't know, because everybody else is, you know, so. But you do, very seldom, you get into a foot chase, but it does happen once in a while. There's an old saying among game wardens is that when you come up to someone at night and they're doing something wrong, like spearing fish or shooting deer, you don't say, game wardens, and grab them. You grab them and then say, game wardens. That way they don't get away on you. Okay, I'm about ready for my slides because I'm already 15 minutes late. Are you enjoying this? Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Would you do me a favor, go get me a cup so I can put some water in there because that one's got coffee in it. Just go over there and get one. Okay,